All right, so this was day 100, and I actually ended up zeroing at cross trails that day. Um, yeah, I zeroed because I had a lot of stuff to figure out. You will have now seen my announcement that I made the decision to flip. I did not flip at Harper's Ferry. I continued to hike on because I wanted to flip up and summit Katahdin on my 38th birthday, and so I had a few weeks of hiking ahead of me. But I needed to figure out logistics, and I have to say, flipping when it wasn't your initial plan can be pretty complicated. It's not as straightforward as you would think. Baxter State Park is extremely protected, and I respect that they care so deeply for their wilderness, but that does mean that it can be hard to get into climb Katahdin as a southbounder. Of course, as a northbounder, you hike north, you stay at the Birches, you summit, but if you want to go southbound, then you need some sort of reservation at Baxter State Park in order to get in. And this was my day of learning about all of that. I knew I needed something. Camping reservations were already all taken, so there was no way that I was going to get one of those. I spoke with Wendy at the ATC in Monson, who was incredibly helpful, and she told me about the parking reservation process. It opens up a couple weeks before the day of that you want a reservation for, and those go incredibly quickly, so you do have to be on the website at midnight. If I did not get that reservation, then I would have to fly up and go to Monson and hike north through the 100-mile wilderness, summit Katahdin, and then go back to Monson to start my journey south. So this was a day of learning and changed plans. I decided to make my next stretch to Carlisle a day shorter than I had originally planned when I did my resupply and everything, because I needed a reliable internet connection to get that parking reservation. So yes, this was a day full of logistics. I also got new clothes sent. I'll talk to you about that a bit, and got new shoes. This was the day before my niece's 6th birthday, and this is the first birthday I've ever missed of hers, so I FaceTimed her this day and just spent a little time relaxing and yeah, I'm talking to them. And so yeah, I do want to say I'm very sad that I didn't spend more time in Harper's Ferry. I was kind of a woman on a mission that day. I would love to go back and explore a little bit more, but it was a very beautiful place, and I do hope to go back. So yeah, so this was just a day of learning, and sent all my old stuff back home to my mom, went to the post office, resupplied on food before I knew all that I know now about getting a Katahdin reservation, and so that was that day. I also forgot to mention this, but I always knew if I flipped, I would wait until after I made it to the actual halfway point. I wanted to hit that, and I wanted to do the half-gallon challenge, so regardless, I knew I had to make it there before I flipped. I had 2 rules for myself when I started. You can't quit until Harper's Ferry, and you can't flip until the halfway point. So in the box that my mom sent me were new shoes, and I'll include a clip of me kind of talking about how my old shoes held up, and just comparing how the new ones and the old ones look. I got new socks, which I'm very excited about. Sorry, I just had a blue sucker. I got my town shirt, and I ordered this while I was at Trail Days. I got it for a couple of reasons. One, my Mountain Hardwear Crater Lake hoodie had a ton of holes where the hip belt closes, and I knew it was just going to fall apart eventually. It actually held up longer than I thought it would. The holes never totally connected. But I didn't like that hood didn't have a way of like cinching it, so if the wind blew, it just blew right off my head. And then also there were drawstrings at the bottom, which were annoying anyway, but really became annoying when I started using the P-style. So we switched to this. I will say I love that it has a kangaroo pocket. That's really nice. It does have a button so I can keep the hood on, but this material is way thicker than the Crater Lake hoodie, and when I sweat and it gets wet, it honestly like feels like I'm wearing a wet swimsuit, and I don't love it. So I don't totally love this switch, but we have it. We're gonna use it. I also got a new pair of pants. They're the same pants that I've been wearing since Gatlinburg. They're the Columbia Winoga pants. I just got them in a size smaller. I really like these pants because they have pockets on the back, but then they also have zippered pockets on the side, or in the front. I like that you can snap the bottom, so that kind of keeps them from dragging on my short little legs. But my main favorite thing, I think, is the belt that's part of it. There's 4 loops. I've had these pants for a couple weeks and we're already on the tightest belt loop, so that's not exactly great. We're really going through pants out here. But they're super lightweight material, they dry really quickly, and I've genuinely loved these pants enough to repurchase them. And so yeah, that was a good switch that I made. I realized I never talked about the new pants that I got in Gatlinburg. So it's the Columbia Winoga pants, and we're a fan.
All right, just wanted to take a little time on my zero here at Cross Trails to talk about my shoes. So I've been wearing the normal Tomir 2. You can see that's what it's called right there. Yeah, and so far they've been doing great. I am wondering, because you can tell that these have stretched out, if these are going to be a little narrow at first before they stretch out. But they've held up really well. There are a few complaints. The fabric in the back came out, and the cushion there did kind of rub my heel raw, so I duct taped that. I just took it off to show you for the video. And so that kind of stinks, but that's the only hole in them. And then you'll see I have Keen soles in there right now. The original soles got too thin after about 300 miles, and the holes that are in the bottom of the sole started making holes in the bottom of my feet. So I got these in a hiker box and I trimmed them down to fit in, and they've worked well. I will say they don't cup my heel as well as these do, so I have been getting blisters on my heel with these insoles that I wasn't really getting with these. So these have 630 miles on them, and there's one tiny hole right there that I think actually happened from a sharp root, so I'm not even gonna blame the shoes for that one. You can see that's kind of like coming loose, but it's not coming off. It's sewn on there really well. The tread is worn decently thin, especially there in the middle, but honestly, for 630 miles, that's pretty dang good. I didn't even realize how low they had gotten until I saw how thick it originally was. And so that's the difference on that. But honestly, like, they've held up great. They claim that these shoes can go over 800 miles. I'm not willing to test it. I can definitely tell that the cushion has worn down. They're not as comfortable as they once were. But yeah, and I mentioned this in the video where I first talk about them. I love this upper fabric because the dirt, as you can see, just collects on the outside. It doesn't really go through. So my feet have stayed pretty clean, which is awesome. And so yeah, got the new pair. I'll probably have to switch out the insoles at some point. And like I said, I am a little worried about these being too narrow at first, but I know these stretched out and were really comfortable by the end, so hopefully it doesn't take too long. But yeah, just for comparison, that's what they look like. Seen a lot of trail. Got some books and board games over here. Little balcony. Here's the common area. dining area and kitchen. I will say one thing about this place is they do provide pancake mix and eggs for you to make your own breakfast, but there is no food on site. So if you're hoping to buy a frozen pizza or a Coke or something, like, you're not gonna find that.